Welcome to the video. My name is Reed Sassenberg and I'm the founder of Married Ambition. And what I do is I help guys whose wives have said to them, I want space, separation, or a divorce. And within 90 days, I get her to change her mind and want to reinvest back into the marriage. If that's the position you're in, make sure you watch this video and understand how we can really change the dynamic in the relationship, because what she's really after is change. Okay, she's got unmet needs throughout the relationship. She's built a lot of resentment around that. So she's cold, she's distant, she's checked out. We need to focus on our behavior from this point forward. Okay, so this is How I Help Men Prevent Divorce, Part 14, Consistency, the key to reconciliation. So today we're talking about trust and how to rebuild it through consistent action, and how most men try rebuilding it the wrong way during reconciliation or during that reconciliation process. Okay, most guys that come into my program, they try rebuilding trust through promises, okay, through conversations, through declarations, through emotional manipulation. Okay, that will fail every single time. You will push her further away and faster towards divorce. Okay, trust is rebuilt not through words; it's rebuilt through consistent action. Okay, action is the key here, and consistency in that action. So in the program, we have a principle called the CAPO principle. What this stands for is knowledge. Okay, we have to learn the correct strategy. Okay, we have to learn how to create change in our lives. We need to learn how to grow, and we do that through knowledge. Okay, then we implement that knowledge through action. We be consistent with that action on a daily basis. We start changing the environment slowly. We start changing her character bias towards us, and we be persistent with that. When we follow those three first steps, knowledge, action, persistence, we then get the outcome that falls in our lap. This is called a falling outcome. So a falling outcome is not something that we directly strive for. To get a falling outcome, we focus on the environment. We create the environment that makes the outcome come to us. So that's the CAPO principle, and it's knowledge, action, persistence, outcome. So your wife does not trust what you say. She trusts actions and consistent actions. So the reason why your actions are so important is because it creates an emotional experience for her through the environment that you create. So that's where we need to put all our attention to. How is she experiencing me through this current process, through this process where I want to save this marriage? How does she experience me? Does she feel pressured? Does she feel negative emotion? Does she feel very negative about the environment that you're creating? Or can we create positive emotional experiences from this point forward that can lead us towards reconciliation? So that's what we need to focus on. Why does this matter? Okay, struggling marriages become emotionally unstable because behavior becomes inconsistent. This is not about her. This is about you with your inconsistent behaviors. Okay, I'm pretty sure she would have asked you for change repeatedly through the relationship, and then she checks out, and now it's been 6 months, 1 year, 18 months later, and she's given you what's called the gut punch. I want space, separation, or divorce. Because once she checks out, she then starts really focusing on getting the evidence that you're not going to change, that the same patterns keep going forward. The same patterns are predictable. Okay, so she starts feeling very, very hopeless about the future of the marriage. That's where she gives you the gut punch. Your job is to give evidence contrary to her current belief, her character bias. Okay, now if you are inconsistent with your actions, so 1 week there's progress, the next week there's an emotional collapse from yourself. One day there's calmness. The next day there's reactivity. That inconsistency will destroy the emotional trust that you need to build back into the relationship to save it. Okay, your actions here are absolutely critical, and you need to rebuild that emotional trust with her. This is how you rebuild the safety in the relationship. Emotional trust is built through predictability, especially during these early phases of moving towards reconciliation. You cannot be off the rails. You cannot be up and down. You cannot have, a solid. You need to have, a solid structured routine here for yourself. Okay, and your wife needs to experience you emotionally that you are very grounded, and this is not temporary. This is the change that you need to make, that you're in control of your emotions and your emotions are not controlling you. So if you're not stable within yourself, okay, how can you expect her to follow you? Because the key to long-lasting, strong marriages is that the man leads the relationship and she manages the relationship. Okay, you have to lead. You have to lead the relationship. The way you lead the relationship is that you have to lead yourself. Okay, if you're not leading yourself, you're not worthy to be followed. This is the whole game in marriage. This is the whole game in long-term relationships. Okay, are you the leader? Okay, that's the question you have to ask yourself. Are you leading yourself? That allows you to be the leader within the dynamic of a marriage. Okay, so what you need to stop doing immediately: stop making emotional promises that you cannot consistently sustain. This is the problem that's got you into this position where you've promised change and you haven't been able to follow through on it. So she's lost that trust, and when she's requested that change and you've said, I'm going to follow through and I'm going to change here, I'm going to fix these issues in the relationship, there's multiple reasons why you're not following through on that. Okay, this video is not long enough to go into all those reasons, but you've got to understand that she does not trust your changes. She does not trust that this is consistent. She doesn't trust that you can change permanently. So that's where we have to change her mind here. We do that by being consistent, by actually making the change and making them identity based. So we need to stop trying to make or create emotional breakthroughs quickly. Okay, this is not a fast game here. This is not a game of 1 week and she's back in the marriage. This is a game of 90 days at least, 3 months of consistent, predictable, ironclad effort from yourself. Okay, so if we keep trying to force emotional breakthroughs, if we keep making these huge emotional promises that we're going to change, if we stay highly motivated for short periods of time, we don't see any results, and we start collapsing again emotionally, you are going to damage the relationship and make this really move towards divorce much faster than it has to. Okay, you can save your marriage, but you need to actually take a step back here and understand the dynamics at play. And this is where I can help you. This is what this video is about. This is about consistent change. Okay, so the best way to approach this is to understand that trust is not rebuilt instantly. Trust rebuilds slowly, especially if the emotional safety has been damaged repeatedly over time in the relationship. So I'll give you an example. If I say to you, you're watching this video and I say to you, hey, I want to meet up with you next week. Let's go have lunch on Friday. Okay, you call me on the Friday. I don't answer my phone. And then I call you, later that night and say, sorry, I got busy and I didn't realize, I forgot that I was meant to meet up with you for lunch. Okay. Then the next, we reschedule, and the next Friday we organize it again. Again, I don't show up. Okay. The next week we do the same thing again. I'll make another excuse and I say, I promise next time I'll show up. We reschedule again for the next Friday. Again, I don't show up. It doesn't matter what I say at this point. Okay, you're not going to trust whatever I say is irrelevant because my actions are not aligning with what I'm saying. So this is a very easy and clear example of how, in your wife's mind, okay, she's expecting change, and you've kept, what you've done in the relationship, whether you know it or not, is that you've repeatedly broke that trust over and over and over again. Okay, to the point where she doesn't trust you anymore. She doesn't trust what you say. That's why she needs to begin trusting your actions. Then she will begin to open up more, which opens the door to reconciliation because she sees real change. Okay? That can lead to attraction. That can lead to admiration. That obviously leads to respect. And down the line, reconciliation and reconnection. Okay? So that's what the whole point of this video is about, is for you to understand that the trust is not there. Okay? You haven't met her emotional needs. She has unmet needs in the relationship. And that could be multiple different issues there. But the issue that I'm trying to explain on this video to you is that you need to understand that she doesn't trust your words. Okay, you need to follow through with action here. That's the only way you turn the situation around. How do we implement this? How do we actually be consistent with change? Before we do anything regarding change, we have to understand what the real problems are, because you cannot fix a problem that you don't understand. You need to get very clear on what are the problems that require change here. What's the dynamic that I can control? How can I show up differently in this relationship to change her opinion of me, her character bias of me, through consistent change, consistent action on a daily basis? So what we need to do is we need to start focusing on consistency in our actions instead of intensity. So we're not trying to get outcomes here in every interaction. We're not trying to prove anything to her. We're proving it to ourselves. We're being accountable to ourselves. We have to start building self-esteem by following through on what we said we would do for ourselves. Okay? Consistent emotional regulation. So you might have the belief now that you do not get emotional around your wife. Follow through on that. That's how you create consistent emotional regulation, consistent calmness. I am now going to be a leader for my marriage. What does that mean? I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to provide a lot of structure. I'm going to be the best father. I'm going to be an example that they can follow. So I become a consistent leader. I start implementing consistent leadership because that's one of my beliefs. That's one of my values. Leadership also includes routines. I create consistent routines in the marriage, consistent routines in my current situation, irrespective of what she's doing. Consistent behavior under pressure. This is the way we open the door. This is the way we open the door to reconciliation. So your wife, okay, she needs repeated emotional evidence that the relationship dynamic is genuinely changing. That only happens through sustained behavioral consistency over time. You do not fix a behavioral issue by talking about it. You have to show change through action. Your consistency creates predictability. Predictability rebuilds emotional trust. So that's what we need to be focused on. Here's the key points in the recap to this video. Trust is rebuilt through repeated experience, not promises and not words. Inconsistent behavior creates emotional instability and weakens the trust in the relationship. This is why she doesn't trust you. Now, you have to get very clear on what she is not trusting you about. That's the key. Once you can uncover that reason, there might be multiple reasons here. Okay, in the program, we go deep onto that question. What has caused the breakdown? What are the patterns? What are the beliefs? What are the ways I'm showing up that has caused her to withdraw from the relationship because she's not getting her needs met? In what way am I not meeting her needs? Women don't leave relationships where they're happy, where their needs are met, where she sees you as highly valuable in her life. They don't leave relationships like that. So there's an issue there. It's not about playing the blame game either. This is about taking ownership and taking action towards the outcome you want. So emotional trust grows when behavior becomes predictable and reliable. So you need to avoid short bursts of change followed by emotional setbacks. That will destroy any chance of reconciling because it's proving to her that you still don't get it. You need to focus on consistent emotional regulation, creating an environment that's calm, that's easy to work in. And you need to increase your leadership over the time, over the process of reconciliation. Rebuilding trust is a gradual process that requires sustained effort and consistency. So the key takeaway here is trust is rebuilt through consistent behavior over time, not emotional breakthroughs. It's boring, it's hard, it's got to be consistent, but it's got to be consistent and it's got to be aligned with what the actual issues are. You need to understand the problems from her perspective, and then we need to change them and get very clear on what the problems are, because again, you cannot fix a problem unless you understand the problem. All right, so if you want help to do that, book a call with me below in the description of this video, and we'll go through the exact process to save your marriage if you're a good fit. Okay, I want guys who want to come into this program. They're not here to waste time and fuck around. We're here to take action towards saving your marriage and keeping your family together not losing, all your assets half the time with your kids, or every second weekend with your kids. Have some other man raise your kids. I know that's not what you want. I know that's why you're watching this video. If you're ready to take action, book the call, and let's get clear on how we're going to save and turn your situation around and save your marriage. I'll see you on that call.